Okay, we have Sahej Jamwar, CBSE Class 12 student live from Pune. Sahej, hi. We also have Yashasvi Gupta. Yashasvi Gupta is joining us from Delhi. She's a Class 12 CBSE student. Sahej, what's your first reaction? Are you happy?
Yeah, I would see that. I expected this. I think this was one of the only logical and rational alternatives to, I would say. And I would think that this was kind of expected. And now, as we see CBSE cancelling the exams, I would think that the state boards should follow through equally. Because in the end, the CBSE has around 12 lakh students appearing all over India. Whereas Maharashtra itself, where I am from, has 14 lakh students appearing for the state boards. So I would say that this was kind of expected, and now the state board should follow through and, just do the same. This is the right thing and should have been done way before.
Been done way before. Well, Yashasvi, is that also what you think? Are you happy with this?
I'm very happy with this because the center has, the PM decision has saved many lives of the future generation, and moreover, this was the decision that Delhi government was constantly telling to the center.
Okay. Suesha, you had a question. My colleague Suesha also has a question. Suesha?
Niranjan, all in all, before I take the question, I think firstly, there is finality for the students. So that is one good thing that the decision has come today itself. Secondly, a point I also wanted to raise earlier, Sahej, if you could touch upon that. You know, had they deferred the exams till September, and in the normal scenario, most universities start the first semester, and that is half of the first semester. So one good thing is that now students will have the results in their hands, and they can go about with the process of admissions to universities, and at least those deadlines can be followed. Even in this scenario, if some students feel that they are not satisfied with the results of the internal assessment, they still have the option of taking the exam in the future. You think all in all a very balanced decision, Sahej?
Yeah, I would say that it is a very balanced decision because in the end it's reducing the number of students. It's reducing the risk the students have going outside and giving these exams. There are universities which require a criteria for admission using the board exam marks, which was around 75% for most of them. But now that it has been removed, there was no use for conducting these exams. The students who are not happy with their internal assessment have been given an opportunity to appear for these exams, reducing the number of students. This, again, has helped save lots of more lives, reducing mental pressure on students, helping them focus on these individual universities, which will help them in the future more than the board exams. So I think, overall it is a very beneficial decision for the students.
And regarding the three options that are in front of students, what is your take on that, Yashasvi? Let me take you through the options, and I'd like to get a student's perspective on that. Now, the options in front of you are: one is the CBSE will devise an objective method to decide on the results. Secondly, there's a 3-point plan for class 12 students. There's an average that could be taken of the last 3 internal exams. And there is also an option for those who still want to go ahead and give their exams. They can do so when the situation gets better, when it gets conducive. As a student, are you happy with the options in front of you?
Yeah, actually we are quite happy because we are saved from the pandemic to come.
Well, Sahej, I think most students, or what was the sense that you were getting from your classmates and others? Was this the overwhelming view that the examinations had to be cancelled?
Yeah, this was the overall view that the examinations needed to be cancelled. I think most of the students were in favor of this decision, opposed to some who might have not have good internal assessment marks. But overall, I would say this was the decision most of the students wanted. The government has listened to the student body, and I would appreciate that because it is the right decision.
Yeah. Before I go across to Yashasvi, I think Mr. Ashok Agarwal is joining us on the phone line. And Ashok Agarwal is the All India Parents Association President. Mr. Agarwal, you have 2 young students, both of whom are happy with the decision taken by the government. You think the government has because the last time the meeting happened, Mr. Agarwal, we were told that the examinations would be held. That was the indication we got. But now the government has made it clear that it's cancelled. So you think they've had to listen to students?
Yes, I have heard the students, and if our students are happy, then all of us should be happy. But I cannot say how many students are happy, how many parents are happy, and how many are not. But I am happy to see that at least this controversy has been now. The Prime Minister of India has taken a decision, and I suggest that this decision should be followed in all state boards also. Let there be a uniform system.
You want the state boards to follow, do you think?
That controversy is set at rest.
Yeah. Okay. I think state boards...
All will never be happy, I may tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if that happens.
Because I got so many telephones from the parents. They want examination. And on the other hand, I got telephones from the parents, they don't want examination.
Okay. Yashasvi, what has been your concern? What has been your concern in as far as this Class 12 board examinations are concerned and the options in front of you, the internal assessments and those who want to still go ahead and take the examinations? Now, do you think, are you happy overall with the objective method? Yeah.
I'm exactly happy. Like many people will be happy for the decision. And moreover, the state board should follow the decision of the center, because we listen from the center to follow all the decision taken by them. So I guess all the like Rajasthan board, every board should follow that decision and scrap their class 12 examination. And still students who don't feel that they won't be getting good marks, they can appear for the exam when the situation is under control. This is the best decision I could say the government can take.
Yeah. Let me put that question to Abhishek as well. Abhishek has been following the story very closely. Abhishek, you know, when that meeting happened on the 23rd, I think, Abhishek, the indication given by the Education Minister himself was that the examinations would be conducted. It would go on. So something has changed, and it's changed drastically. The fact that the Prime Minister has had to intervene twice, I think, in a week. He held a meeting when it happened before the states were consulted. And today when he held the meeting as well, the presence of the biggest ministers in the cabinet also told you that this was going to be a significant decision, one where every view had to be weighed in. And seems like this may be the popular decision. I don't know whether that's the right word, but I think an overwhelming view was that this examination had to be cancelled.
Well, Niranjan, what Education Minister expressed at that time was the official view within the Central Board of Secondary Education, is what we are told to believe. What is important is that the view was based on sound understanding of pedagogy and academics and their connection with life skills. So, you know, the thought was that giving exams gives you an understanding or a skill of stress management, anxiety management, time management, more crucially when you are giving a 3-hour-long exam and you have to write a certain number of questions and give their answers. You develop those time management skills and you prepare for that over a period of a month or two. So I think that was the official view. But then there was an overwhelming feedback from the states that the states might not be able to administratively, logistically manage the board exams. And remember, these state government or state ministers were coming in based on the feedback they had received from school managements in turn. So I think there was a chain of feedback that was listened to. Prime Minister's overall instruction, even in the first meeting, was that the priority should be the safety and security of the students, as also the fact that they should not be subjected to unnecessary levels of anxiety. Because remember, even if exams were to be held with social distancing and COVID protocol norms, it does add to, even otherwise in normal times, just the thought of giving a board exam stresses you a bit. And then you have to follow COVID protocol, social distancing, this concern on the back of your mind that if there is someone in the room who is infected...
Abhishek, stay with me. Abhishek, stay with me. Sorry to interrupt you there. Varsha Gaikwad is joining us on the phone line. Varsha Gaikwad is the Maharashtra Education Minister. Varsha Gaikwad, good evening. Varsha, the centre has decided on the Class 12 board examinations. What's your view? Varsha, can you hear me? Good evening. Varsha, आवाज आ रही है? Varsha? Okay, I think we lost the line. So we'll try and reconnect Varsha Gaikwad. Varsha Gaikwad is the Education Minister of Maharashtra. In fact, most states were concerned about the security aspect, Abhishek. Yashasvi is a student. She just mentioned about how she's from Delhi, for example. She mentioned how the Delhi government had also earlier mentioned about the safety aspect. I remember I think it was Kejriwal who said it's a potential super spreader, correct? He'd used the word, he said examination centers could be potential super spreaders and you don't have a vaccine. Now, the options were very limited, isn't it, Abhishek, for the government?
So, beginning with Delhi, Maharashtra, Rajasthan in between, and Tamil Nadu. These are four big and small important states that had openly expressed their view that holding exams would not be the right idea. The states might not be prepared, the logistics might not be in place, and it could be dangerous in the present context. Apart from that, as I said, the overarching principle given by the Prime Minister that the most important aspect to keep in mind is the safety and security of the students and children, and not necessarily the other influencing factors. Then, apart from that, the overall feedback from across the country. In fact, I was just a while back, Niranjan, going through a Twitter poll on what is the general mood, whether the decision of the government of cancelling the class 12 exams is right or wrong. A good majority of 60+% voting at that time said that it's a good decision, right decision. So I think the government is right in listening to that feedback and going with decision of cancelling the exams. There is a caveat, Niranjan, we have broken that story in the earlier bulletin, that after the COVID second wave subsides, and then the government is sure that there is no third wave coming. In that scenario, if there are some students who still want to give exam, want to get the feel of it, and want certain mark sheet with certain subjects on it, to their satisfaction, then the CBSE would devise a way of holding those exams after a few months. But as of now, the process of promoting them to the next class or qualifying them for class 12 essentially would be, I think, what I've been given to understand is that it would be an averaging of the last 3 internal exams the students have given. There are nitty-gritties involved. There are some ticklish issues in this because remember, as I was saying, that most of the students in class 12 are more focused on their competitive exams than their board exams, class 12 exams, internal exams. So whether they would want those internal exams marks to reflect in their class 12 board mark sheet, and that's why this probability or possibility of those students who want an exam to be taken, maybe after a few months they could. So that's how it is as of now. The importance the government gave to this issue can be gauged from the fact that Prime Minister brought along his Defence Minister, Home Minister, Finance Minister, Women and Child Development Minister, Petroleum Minister, Railways and Commerce Minister, everyone. And it was almost like a cabinet taking place to decide on this very important subject of students' exams. And this really shows how seriously it was taken at the very top.
Okay, so let's ask the students on the show, Abhishek. Sahej and Yashasvi, let me ask you, if I had to ask you, let's say, the top 3 concerns that you had. So this is our question paper for you. Okay, so why don't you tell us what were your top 3 concerns with the examination, so that we so let's see if all of those issues have been addressed. Let's start with Sahej. Sahej, what were your top 3 concerns about the examinations?
Yeah, I would say the first concern that came to every student's mind was their own safety. We're living in this time, this weird period that this disease is spreading like wildfire. Anybody can get infected, anybody could lose their life or their family members because of it. And the fear was that most of the students weren't even being vaccinated. All the vaccination being carried out for most amount of the time was 45 and above. So I think safety was one of the major concerns on each of the students' mind. The second concern, I would say, how the exams would be conducted, how social distancing and proper measures would be carried out in the exam centers, and basically how they would protect each other from getting infected with this disease. So safety, I would say, was one of the major concerns, and conduction of the exams would be the other.
Yeah. Yashasvi, your objective question with 3 answers that you can fill in. 3 concerns that you had.
If I see from the student point of view, first was the safety protocols that will they be followed on the examination day or not. Second was many students have lost their loved ones during the pandemic. The mental pressure was on high level. So most of the people were away from studies and academic. So this was the main issue with people, like how will they get more marks in board exam, because board exam do have some value, class 12 board exam basically.
Okay. And I think it's been a fine balancing act as far as the government is concerned, Abhishek. Obviously, there were concerns. And if I'm not wrong, I think, Abhishek, the CBSE had also put some options of exploring perhaps having more examination centers, which would ensure spacing, etc. But it's not a very practical solution, is it? Was it? It's not a practical solution.
Niranjan, no, I can tell you that, on the lines of what Election Commission did with elections, for example, by increasing polling booths, some kind of formula could have been devised. But there were practical problems. For example, this is the only set of population that remains away from vaccinations, because as yet we don't know whether the vaccines that we have are efficacious and can be applied to students or children below 18 years of age. So while that experiment is going to happen in this month of June of trials on the age group between 12 and 17 as to whether they can be vaccinated, what is important is that there was a very genuine and legitimate concern about the third wave hitting. All experts were indicating towards it. And in that scenario, for the government to decide that, okay, fine, let's go ahead with the exams, could have proved counterproductive, to say the least. And I think that's why caution has been the buzzword. Absolute caution has guided the decision. And even if these trials succeed and the students can be vaccinated, there is no question of taking chances. So that was the guiding principle in arriving this decision. And that is encapsulated in Prime Minister's instruction that the safety and security of students should be the utmost concern when you are taking this call. So I think that is what has happened. And as I said, it is meeting the popularity test with a majority of people coming out in support of this decision of cancelling the exams for now. If in a month's time there is some vaccine that comes up which is practical, which is good for this age group, and then over the next 2-3 months the second wave abates and there is no possibility of third wave, then as I said, the students who want to give some kind of exam, CBSE would go back to the drawing board and devise some method to give them that exam. So it's practical, it's fluid, and it's going to evolve as the time passes and this pandemic really pans out. So I think the government has taken a very practical decision, a very cautious decision in the larger interest of safety and security of this very important component of the population of the country, these youngsters, these students who many of them, in fact, remember Niranjan, this year was essentially 2 batches of class 12. There's the last year's batch which has not given exams and this has continued. So I think those concerns are there. The CBSE official view that exams also teach you certain life skills, and it's important from the point of view of time management, stress management, anxiety management, and then overall, normality. But the fact is we are not living in normal times. We are actually living in very difficult times, dangerous times, and the decisions have to reflect those conditions as well. That's why this decision, I think you're talking to students, they would tell you that this decision really, if it does not really fully satisfy them, because in their heart also they would want to go through that process, but then given the circumstances, they would also agree that this is the best course forward.
Yeah. Stay with me, Abhishek. We're getting in some, you've opened up the phone lines. Sahej and Yashasvi, stay with me. We have some more questions on student safety. Let me take some viewers. Dipansh Joshi is calling us in from New Delhi. Dipansh, are you a student? What's your take on the examinations being cancelled?
Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead, Dipansh. We can hear you. Yeah.
My take on exam cancellation, that it is a very good measure taken by the central government, and but for me, concern is that the government has taken this, but for the mental health. But the second point of view for my is that is the government really thinking about the mental health? Because they haven't tell about the objective criteria. From the courses, I have came to know that 9th, 10th, 11th, and 11th will be chosen. But it will not be good that the students in the 9th, 10th, 11th class will be chosen. So it will
Yeah.
affect the mental health.
Okay, valid point. Let me take that. Okay, let me take one quick response from Yashasvi and Sahej. Sahej and Yash. Okay, Sahej first. Sahej, if you had to return to school or some point, or return to go back to college or attend classes, would you prefer to be vaccinated first?
100%. I think everybody would, because the sheer danger this disease possesses towards our mental health, physical health, and the health of our family is overpowering the fact that I need to attend my lectures, finish my exams right now. So I would say that I would not attend any lecture, give any exam without being vaccinated and ensure my safety first.
Okay, Yashasvi, would you prefer to be vaccinated first?
Yes, absolutely. I would be preferring the vaccination first because of the safety protocols of my family, myself, and the people around me. Because, like, we have passed just class 12, but in college, the same thing can be happen.
Okay.
So I will be preferring it.
Thank you. Very good to speak to both of you, Sahej and Yashasvi. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Stay with me. Stay with me. Actually, I think we have one more viewer calling us, in. Shruti is calling us in from Mumbai. Shruti, are you a student? What is your take on this?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Shruti.
Yes, sir. I'm a student, and I'm really happy with this news. Actually, we were mentally very stressed, as many of us are also preparing for our competitive exams.
Yes.
And I have one sibling of mine who has lost her parent recently.
Right.
And she was in no mental state to give any examinations this year. So we all are really thankful to government for taking this decision, and we hope that all the state governments also take a decision in favor of this.
Well, that's a fantastic point of view, Shruti. So, would you prefer to be vaccinated? You know, we have Sahej and Yashasvi, two students of class
Yes.
12, your age, your batch, joining us on the show. Would you prefer to be vaccinated before you go back to class?
Yes, sir. Definitely, we want to get vaccinated. In fact, on Q app, some students had started a hashtag of getting us vaccinated before our examinations.
That's fantastic. Good to hear you. Thank you for calling in, Shruti. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, and all the best. Yashasvi and Sahej, Abhishek, thank you for joining us. We're taking a break now.